Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Young and the Restless spoilers are seeing Tracy Abbott Beth Maitland happier than ever and looking forward to her future with her new fiancé, Alan Laurent Christopher Cousins. But he is hiding a horrible secret that could wreck her upcoming wedding day. We are going to talk about this shocking twist set to Tracy's happily ever after. So last year, Tracy Abbott Beth Maitland met Dr. Alan Laurent Christopher Cousins, who was a good friend of her sister, Ashley Abbott Eileen Davidson. And if you recall, Alan was also Ashley's psychiatrist and helping her through the DID crisis. They were friends in Paris, even though they were both Americans. And then things take a turn when Alan realized his sociopathic twin brother, Martin Laurent, was impersonating him. He had even fooled Ashley into believing he was Alan. And then eventually, Alan and his evil twin got into a scuffle in Paris. There was a fall off the balcony, and it was presumed that Martin died. So we thought, but now it looks increasingly like Alan died, and that is bad twin Martin who is with Tracy and just proposed. The only other explanation is that it is Alan Laurent, but he's in the midst of a psychotic break and behaving like his evil twin brother Martin. That could be a fun twist, but it's probably the simplest thing. And it's just that Alan is the one who may be dead and Martin is the one in Tracy's life. The guy is a diagnosed sociopath who has terrible tendencies, and he's all around scary. Tracy thinks she's engaged to this nice guy Alan, but it looks like it's Martin who actually proposed, and who we now know kidnapped Sharon Newman Sharon Case and Phyllis Summers Michelle Stafford. Fans were absolutely stunned this week when they saw Alan open up an app on his phone to monitor footage of Sharon and Phyllis in the old psychiatric hospital. I have to say, Martin being alive and kidnapping them wasn't on my bingo card. There's been talk ever since the fact that he died that whether it was him or not. But there were no real red flags until recently when you really look back and start to make a study of it. Now, if it is Alan, maybe he's conducting some ill-conceived experiment using immersion therapy to try and get Sharon and Phyllis to work out their issues, but I doubt it. This guy, presumably Martin, seems far too sinister while watching them on his screen. Looked like he was enjoying seeing them play his sick game and was chuckling as he watched the video feed on Young and Restless. So chances are it's Tracy dating Martin all this time, and it looks like he has thoroughly gaslit her, and she truly believes that he is Alan. And it's been going on since Paris. And if you remember, Alan said before that Martin was always really good at impersonating him and had been since they were kids. However, there have been a few red flags that some fans noticed. Tracy noticed, but he was able to explain away. And he just keeps really being able to cover his tracks. Do you remember when Tracy first brought Alan home with her to the Abbott mansion? He looked around the living room and said he just wanted to take it all in. And Tracy said, "Well, you've been here before." And that's because Alan is close to Ashley, but Martin had never been there before. So fake Alan made some excuses and Tracy kind of brushed it aside. She was falling in love. She wasn't paying that close of attention. And another red flag is that Alan basically blew off work to be Tracy's full-time boyfriend, starting with when she had to go to LA for that meeting about one of her books. Alan was like, "Hey, I'll go with you." And then he kept blowing off all these professional obligations. As a matter of fact, since he started dating Tracy, I don't think Alan's been working at all. He's just been a full-time boyfriend. The real reason, obviously, is that fake Alan can't do speaking engagements or professional conferences or treat patients. There's no way he can fool fellow shrinks who all know his brother very well. And at some point, somebody would notice one of his patients might notice that there's something he's not saying right or something he's forgotten. Martin just couldn't get away with it. And another huge clue is Alan said he'd quit his job and moved to the US permanently to be with Tracy after they get married. So clearly when Alan and Martin went over the balcony together, whether Alan died or not, Martin seems to be in control right now. Maybe they both survived. And Martin just switched places, and he has Alan stuck somewhere that he can't escape from. If you remember that scene in Paris, it seemed to be Martin that died and Alan who survived because of their clothing. But the writers might have been sloppy, or they initially intended that it would be Martin that died. Then they decided to rewrite it later and make him a villain, or just ignore that part. Or they'll try and explain the clothing change somehow, but I think more likely they'll ignore it. So now we know fake Alan is holding Phyllis and Sharon at Havenhurst. And maybe real Alan is locked up there or he's in a grave in Paris with Martin's name on it. I just don't think that he's holding Alan captive because he sent the hint to Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson to lead them to where they were. And I don't think he would risk someone finding it if he had an additional captive. And given that Alan and Martin are from America and Alan said his brother has been a sociopath in treatment for a long time, maybe Martin at one point was a patient at Havenhurst. That's why he knows the place so well and why he chose it. Fake Alan seems to be playing with Phyllis and Sharon like rats in a lab maze. And then, he also seems to be toying with Tracy, which is terrible. On Friday, Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, and Billy are going to rescue Sharon and Phyllis this week. But then no one's going to know the identity of the kidnapper, at least not for a while. So it could be that this stretches all the way until his wedding to Tracy. We know Eileen Davidson is back filming as Ashley, so I think we're probably going to get a sweeps wedding for Tracy and her fiancé, who does not seem to be Alan Laurent at all. And something may come out around the time of the wedding that causes either Sharon or Phyllis to realize, oh, this is the guy who took us. Maybe there's a turn of phrase that he uses that reminds them of the Riddles when they were being kidnapped, something like that. And I think he's going to be backed into a corner and exposed at the wedding. Then the real crazy Martin will come out. And of course, poor Tracy will be horrified. She thought she found the man of her dreams, but he is not a dream. He's a nightmare. And a sweeps wedding that turns into an absolute doppelganger horror show would be high drama for Young and the Restless. So I do suspect fake Alan is going to get away with the kidnapping for now. I think the cops won't crack the kidnapping case. Not that they're great at cracking any case. And then it's all going to blow up in another few weeks on Young and the Restless. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.